Alright guys, so welcome to the first project of this course. So in this video we are going to be building this project by just using HTML and CSS. I know this is not like complicated projects to work with, but hey, this is a beginner project, so this is going to be our first project of this course. Alright guys, so welcome to your first project. Attached to this video you will find a link to my GitHub repository, and if you want to follow along with this project, so you can use these images or you can use your own images if you want to. So I just kind of want to mention that in the first place. So what do you have to do? We are going to be started working on our first file. So I'm going to just create a first file, index.html. Now let's just create a new one, which is style.css. And now let me just make that a bit bigger and hide that upper bar. And now we are totally good to go. So what do we have to do first of all? We are going to be just writing a doc type HTML, and I'm going to change this to like title to be like a coffee. Let's just link it with our CSS file. And I'm going to just hide this metadata from there and save our file, right click on it and open it with a live server. So it will now open our project in a live server. Alright, so now let's just start working on our navigation. So I'm going to write a nav in here. I'm going to write a nav opening and closing tag, and then I'm going to write like h1 of with the class of logo, and I'm going to just put a logo in there. I'm going to zoom out a bit, and here I'm going to write like a ul, then li, and then anchor tag, and I'm gonna just write like, I don't know, maybe 4 of them. I'm gonna just put a 4 in there. It will not go to anywhere, so you just write like a home, then about, then it will go to the menu, and then finally we have our context section right here. Okay, so now if you save our file, and I know currently things totally awful, so now let's get into our CSS file, and now let's just start working on our styling. So before we do, first of all, we would need a font to grab from a Google font. So we are going to be using a font called Playfire or Playfair, whatever you want to call it. So to grab that, first of all, we have to go to our fonts.google.com. So if you go to this fonts.google.com, then we can search for that font. Okay, so my internet connection is totally awful in this video. Okay, we have to wait for that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just remove all of this styling which I have for my previous project, and I'm going to just type like a play fire and display. So okay, so I just have to write a D in there, and I'm gonna choose this one because I guess we use this font. Yeah, I'm gonna just click on the first one. The other one is awful. And now let's just select our 700 width right here. So I'm gonna just click on this 700 width. Plus that, click on this import. You already learned all of that stuff. I don't have to revise myself, but I'm speaking, I don't know why and what for, because I have already teach you everything which you need to know to build this project. But anyways, I'm going to be talking and you have to listen to me, or if you don't want to listen to me, so click on that mute button and you can listen to your favorite music while writing your code. Anyways, so what do we have to do? First of all, let's just create a few variables. I'm going to just create a variable for our main color, and the main color we are going to be using is DEAB5F. So this is going to be our main color for this project, and now the primary color we are going to be using is that 3 or 1 to E2E. So this is going to be our primary color for this project. So if you save that, now let's just also write our utility utility classes as well, or styles to be precise. I'm going to just write a buttons. I'm going to just write a class for a button first of all, and now let's just provide a padding of 10 pixel to that button, and also the 30 pixel bottom, like 10 pixel will be for the top and bottom, and 30 pixel will be for left and right. And we are going to be using a background color of that main color which we just declare. And now let's just remove that border from all of these buttons, and the cursor will be by default pointer. Alright, so now let's just write a reset for ourselves. So if you want to write a reset, so it's not a crazy resets, we just have to write a padding of 0, margin of 0, and box sizing will be totally border box. Alright, so now let's just get into our body. So what do we have to do? I'm gonna just change the background color to be like, I don't know, I'm gonna write 100 E and then 0F. It's not OF, it's 0. So if you save our file, and this is how currently things looks like. Alright, so now let's just work on our navigation. So I'm gonna write a navigation start in here, navigation start. And now let's just start working on our navigation. So I'm going to just select my navigation first of all, write a display of flex in it. Justify counter will be space around because we want these items to be like all around each other. We don't want any spaces and stuff. So I guess we do want a spaces. That's why you just write space around in there. So now we are going to be using align items of totally center. And now let's just write a color to be totally pure white. Font family will be totally sans serif in this case. And padding to the top, I'm gonna just give him like padding top. Oh my goodness, padding top will be 15 pixels. So now if you save that, so now this is how currently things looks like. Now let's just select this li right now and provide a display of inline to it. So I'm gonna just select that li right now, and I'm gonna just provide a display of inline to it. So now let's just remove that ugly list style of none. So if you save our file, and boom, this is how currently things looks like. And now let's just select our anchor tag, which is these anchor tags. Okay, so now let's just select that real quick. I'm gonna write like li and then a. We want to select all of the anchor tags which is inside the li, and we want to change the color of them to be like let's just change the color to be like totally white color. And I'm gonna also provide text decoration of none because we also want to remove this ugly line right there. So I'm gonna make that to 100%. And margin to the left will be like 40 pixels. So now if you save that, and this is how currently things looks like. So you know what, I forgot to include that hover effect. So now let's just also provide that hover effect on it. So if you hover over to our anchor tag, so what do we have to do? We just have to provide a border bottom of 2 pixels solid of that kind of a DEB5. You know, we can use that primary color. So if you save that, and now if you hover a mouse over to it, this is how currently things looks like. But we can also go a little bit better. So I'm gonna write like border bottom of like 10 pixel, and now if you hover over it, so this is how currently things looks like. If you make it smaller like so it's totally responsive, by the way, by not using a what do we call it, a media queries. So now we are totally done with our navigation. So I'm gonna just write a comment for myself. Okay, I can't get my comments. Nav end. So this is the end for our navigation. So now let's just start working on the header area. So if you want to start working on our header area, so for that we just have to write a header with the class of also header, and inside this header we are going to be using h1 with the class of main headings. Okay, so I'm going to just write like a start your day. Now let's just select our h1 of with the class of primary heading, and now let's just write with or coffee. So now let's just create our button right here, and with the class of oh my goodness, button with the class of main btn. And now let's just write like shop now. And now if you save that, the button will have these classes. That's because we write these classes inside or utility classes right here. But the other content will not be styled by default because we don't write any styling for that. So now let's just provide a styling for our header area. So we are going to be writing our header start in this case. So what do we have to do? First of all, we just gotta select our header first of all, which is the header with the class of header as well. So we are now selecting that by using our classes. So now what do we have to do? First of all, we want to attach some sort of a background to it. So I'm going to remove that real quick, and let's just write our URL, select our images, and I guess the image was this one, the last one, I guess. So if you save that, and yeah, we cannot see that. So now let's just make our positioning to the center. So I'm going to just write a background position of totally center, and I'm going to also provide a background size to be covered totally, and I'm going to also provide a height of 100 VH to it. And what do we have to do? We are going to be using that font, which we grab real quick. So I'm going to just copy this font family from there and copy that and paste it. So if that font is available, use this font. If that font is not available, then use this serif font. So if you save them, and now here you can see this not only at the center right here. And now let's just use our font family. We already use a font family on there, but it's not looking that much awesome. So for that we have to center that and stuff. So we are going to be using a font weight of totally normal, and let's just write our flex box in here. Let's just do our flexbox magic. So if you want to make that like totally at the center, so for that we can use display of flex. And now let's just use a flex direction to be totally column. And now let's just write a justify content to be totally at the center. Align items will be also center. and now let's just write a color to be totally white, and let's just write a position of relative to it. We are not going to be worrying about the responsiveness just right now, but we will take care of that once we jump into the end of this project. So if you save that, and now currently things looks like these. I know it's awful. So now let's just start working on our main headings right here, like this one. So now let's just select that main headings right now. So this one is a position relative right here. I'm gonna set that to at the end so you guys can see everything if you're reading this code. And now let's just provide a position on absolute on there, and now let's just use a top will be like 7 rem. I know for a fact that it will be required like a 7 rem. And now let's just use like font size of 4 rem. And if you want to work with this image, so you just have to figure out like how much of positioning I would need. So in my case, I just provide of 7 rem of positioning. And now let's just also do, what do we call it, that word spacing. I'm going to provide 10 pixel of word spacing in each, and I'm going to provide a margin bottom of -40 pixels. So if you save that, and this is how the first one looked like. Alright, so now let's just work on our primary headings. So that was for the main headings. Now let's just work on our primary headings. So okay, so it's heading or headings. It's singular, it's not plural. Okay, I can't pronounce that, plural. Anyways, so now let's just write a position of absolute right here. And now let's just provide a bottom of 4 rem of positioning. And what else do we got to do? We are going to be using the font size of 4 rem. We want to increase the font size. Now let's just do the word spacing of 10 pixel in here. Now let's just provide a margin of bottom. Okay, so we already write that style. Okay, my bad. What do we have to do? We have to select our, yeah, everything is cool, but you know what, I did mess up something right here. So for main headings, we have to write a position of absolute, we have to write a top, and then font size. We don't need these word spacing on it. Okay, we do need that, but we don't need that margin bottom. So if you save that, and finally we just have to write the margin bottom right here like 40 pixel. So now if you save that, and this is how currently things looks like. So now let's just take care of this button, and then we are going to be at the good shape. So what was the class we gave to that button, which is that main button? So now let's just select that real quick. So I'm going to select that main btn, and now let's just use a position of absolute on it, and a bottom value will be 2 rem. Padding we are going to be providing is like 10 pixel for the top and bottom, and 30 pixel for the left and right. And now let's just use that margin top of 20 pixel. And now let's just change that background, not bottom, but just a background to be totally transparent. Okay, and now let's just use the background color of that main color, which we already declare, and the border will be also none, because we want to remove that border, and cursor will be already pointer. You know what, we don't need these properties. I'm going to remove that because we already write that. And transform or translate it to the y-axis, and here we are going to be providing a positive value. So if you save that, and yeah, it will excuse me, it will now push it to the bottom right here. So this is how currently our header area looks like. I know you really like that header. And now we are totally done with this header area right now. So now let's just take care of that or story and all of that kind of stuff. So what do we have to do here? We are going to be doing is that, first of all, we are going to be creating a section with the ID. I'm going to just provide an ID specifically, or story. Okay, so inside this ID, we are going to be just using a div with a class of image container. So this container will be for our image, because we are going to be rendering our image inside that container. So we are going to be using a img class for our image right now. Okay, so we are going to be using a display flex on this one, and this is our first item. And now let's just write our next item, which will be a section and content. And inside this section content, we are going to be using our title style first of all. Okay, we need to write a style, and now let's just write a span for the line. So this is going to be our line, and now let's just write h1 with the class of title, and the title will be our story. Okay, so now we are totally done with this section. Now what else do we have to do? Underneath this div, we are going to be just using a p with a class with no classes whatsoever. So we are going to be just writing a lorem ipsum of whatever the text it gives us. So save our file, and we can all see that because we have to provide a height for it. So I'm going to just do that in a second. First of all, let's just start working on our story section. So I'm going to just select our story by using a ID selector. I'm gonna give him a height of 100 VH so that you guys have a little bit of space so that we can see everything a bit clear. Alright, so that's for the height. So now let's just write a margin of top of 15 percentage. And now let's just use that display flex because we want to center everything, and flex wrap in this case will be also wrap because we want our items to wrap for responsiveness reasons. So let's just write a justify content property of space around. Yet let's just use align items off center and in this case as well. So if you save that, and yeah, here you can see we have all of this text right here, but we cannot see it clearly because for that we would need to provide a color, and we don't want to do that right now. So what else do we have to do? We have to select this img right now and provide our image in it. So we are going to be using img. Let's just give a width of like 400 pixel, and also the height will be 400 pixel as well. So now let's just use our background of URL, not a color. So I'm going to just remove that and change it to like URL, and we are going to be going to our images, and now let's just select this image right here, this second one. And you already noticed that I'm using remove bg, which is a software which allows us to remove the background from our images and stuff. I'm going to show you that, maybe, I'm not sure. But so if you just write a background position of totally center, and now let's just use a background size of totally covered, so not contained but covered. And if you save that, here you can see we have our cup right here filled with tea. Alright, so now we have our image right here. Now the next thing which you have to do is that we have to start to styling this title style to be precise. So I'm gonna just get there real quick. I'm gonna write like a title and style, and I'm gonna just provide a display of flex on it. And now let's just use align items of totally centered in. If you save that, okay, we cannot see the, I don't know, I guess I messed up something in HTML, I guess. So we have our story, then we have our image container, then we have our image inside there, then we have our section content, then we have title style, line, title, and finally we forgot to include a button outside from this paragraph. So we are going to do that just in a second. I'm going to just put like a learn more in it, and now if you save that, we will get our button right here. Alright, so this is going to be it for the styling of that title. Now what else do we have to do? We have to get a specific title, which is that title right here. So now let's just get that, and now let's use our font family. Oh my goodness, it's not helping me. I don't know. Okay, I just wrote a font instead of a font. Font family will be that font family which you just copy of play fire display. Let's just search for that. Okay, this is the second one, third one. Okay, we have display. Yep, there we go. Copy that and go to the end and paste it in here. Save that, and you cannot see that real quick. What else do you have to do? We are going to be using a font size of 4M, and we are going to be changing the color to be totally white, and also the transformation will be like to translate to the x-axis. So we are going to be using -100 pixels. So if you save that, and you cannot see that much clearly, but you will see that just a second. You know what, I'm gonna have to comment this line out. Okay, so that's fine. Now let's just start working on that line which we create right here. So we have that span with the class of line. Now let's just select that real quick. I'm gonna select that line and provide a width of like 100 pixel, and also the height will be 2 pixel. Yeah, 2 pixel will be fine. And now let's just use that background of totally white color, and let's just use not a background color but a transform of the translated to the y-axis, not a y-axis but the x-axis. And now let's just use 120 pixel, and if you save that, and this is how our line looks like, but you cannot see that right away. You'll see that just in a second. Now let's just start working on our paragraph. So our paragraph is looking totally awful. And now let's just style that a bit. So what do we have to do? We have to first of all select our section content, which is that section content. Let me just grab that. I guess I misspelled it in my CSS. Grab that and paste it in here. Alright, so now let's just select our paragraph right here. Oh my goodness, what's wrong in my keyboard? Let's just select that paragraph in there. And now let's just provide a max width of like 500 pixel in this case. And the color will be totally white. And also I'm going to use a font family of sans serif in this case. We don't need that play fire display or play fair display. Line height will be 20 pixel and margin will be 20 pixel for the top and bottom, and 0 for the left and right. And now if you save that, and yeah, this is how it looks like. So we are now totally done with this section as well. So you can increase or decrease the sizes if you want to. and this is our line, this is our story, and this is our header area. This is our story area right here. So you can play around with the styling, but I guess that would be fine for me. And I wrote a comment for myself, I guess, or didn't I? We have a main headings, then we start working on our story, but I forgot to write a comment for myself, so I'm gonna just write like our story start. I'll just go to the end, and here I'm gonna just write or story end. Okay, so now let's just work on our new section, which is called that coffee container section. So now let's just work on that real quick. So inside my HTML, outside from this section, what do we have to do? We have to create a new section with the class of coffee container. I know it's long, but you have to remember that. Now inside this coffee container, we just have to write a content section, and inside this content section, what do we have to do? We are going to be first of all writing our title style right here. Inside that, we are going to be using a new div with the class of title2. This is going to be our second title, and now inside this title2, we are going to be writing like a perfect place and then br for breaking. And now let's just, you know what, we're not going to be duplicating that. I want to write every single thing. So to enjoy your br and coffee, well, COFFEE. Okay, so outside from, okay, I messed up something. It shouldn't have to be a div, it should have to be h1. This one will be also h1, and I guess we are fine. So outside from this div right here, we have to just write a paragraph with the class of lorem inside there, and outside from this lorem, we are going to be using a button right here, and I'm going to just put like I don't know, I'm going to put like learn more in this case. And now if you save our file, and now we are done with this section, but we also have to write a little bit of code for our image and container and stuff. So outside from this div, what else do we have to do? We have to create a new section with the class of img container. Okay, so now inside this image container, we have to render that image which we have. So I'm going to just hit Control Space, go to images, and select that second image right here. And as an alt tag, so I'm going to just give him like I don't know, you know, I'm not going to be putting any alt text, so I'm going to just give him a class of img2 and save file. And this is how currently things looks like right now. I know it's messy and long and stuff. So now let's just work on this section. First of all, we have to go to our CSS, and now let's just write or coffee coffee start would be fine. Now let's just get our container, not container but coffee container, which is that coffee container which you wrote right here. So you have this coffee container, and we selected that. Now let's just use our magic of display flex. Justify content will be space around in this case, and we are going to be using align items of, okay, I just use align cells, so we have to use align items of what? Align items of totally center, and I forgot to include something called a flex, a wrap, or wrap. So if you save that, and now I also forgot to include a margin top of 10 rem in this case. So we are going to be using 10 rem, and this is how currently things looks like. So now let's just get into that image container and provide a little bit of width and height for that, so you guys can see everything a bit better. I'm gonna just select that image 2. I guess I gave a class of image 2. Yep, image 2. I'm gonna just provide a width of like 400 pixel, and also the height will be 400 pixels. So if you save that, and this is how currently things looks like right now. So now let's just make it a bit better by first of all selecting our paragraph, which is that paragraph. So we have a lot of content inside there, and we can decrease that if you want to. So I'm going to just select my content section, and now inside this content section we want to get our paragraph. So we are now selecting our content section. Inside this section we just have one paragraph right here. If you have more than that, so it will also select it there as well. So in this case we just have one paragraph, so it will now select that. And I'm gonna just provide a max width of like 500 pixel, and if you save that, and it will just shrink it down to 500 pixel size right here. Anyway, so that's it for a basic styling. What else do we have to do? We are going to be selecting now in this case our title2. So let me just show you that title2 right here. So we have that title2, and now let's just use a font size of 3 rem right here. So the font size will be totally 3 rem, and the color will be totally pure white. Now let's just use that font family of play fire display. Okay, display go to bottom and bottom. Yep, that's copy it, and I'm gonna paste it at the end. So I'm gonna paste it right here and save our file. And this is how currently things looks like right now. You know what, the font family is just a little bit huge, so I'm gonna just set that to like font weight to normal. So now if you save that, and yeah, we just have one font family, so I'm gonna remove this font family from there. I mean like font weight from there. Now what else do we have to do? We already select this, so you know what, I'm gonna cut that from here and I'm gonna paste it right here. And I'll just write like margin of top of 20 pixel, and font family in this case will be just totally sans serif. So save that, and you cannot see that because the color is totally black. So I'm gonna just write a C of colored and save it. And we have a lot more content, so I'm gonna just remove some of this content from here. Okay, not that much, but I guess that would be fine. 2 lines, you know what, all of them are fine, but I'm gonna just provide inline styling here. I don't want to provide a new styling for this one, so I'm gonna just write like style, and let's just use inline style of margin top. Let's just use margin top to be like 20 pixel in this case. So if you save that, it'll now give us a little bit of margin in there. So we are not totally done with the header area, navigation, header area, or story, and perfect place for a coffee and stuff. So now let's just work on our product section. So what do we have to do? I guess I didn't write any comments in HTML file. So we have a nav, then we have our header right here, then we have our story, and now then we have another one, or story, then we have our coffee section. And now let's just work on a new section, which is the product section. So I'm just write like a product in here. So for this product section, we have to first of all create a section with a class of products. And inside this section, we are going to be writing our h1 with the class of title and another class of title 3, because this is going to be our title 3. And now let's just put our products in there. And now let's just create a section for our cards. So we are going to be writing a section for cards, and inside this card section we are going to be creating a few cards. So we are going to be just writing card 1, and now let's just give a class of card img and then img1. So this is going to be tagging our image, and then let's just use our card title, and inside that we are going to be using our mocha card. And now outside from this div, what else do we have to do? We are going to be writing a items container. So this is going to be our items container, which will take a lot of our items. So I'm going to just write like different kind of names. All right, so now if you save that, and now let's just style that, and we are going to be duplicating that just in a second. But first of all, we have to style that, and I guess something is wrong. You know what, first of all, let me just write all of the HTML code, then we will style that. So we have our card section right here. Now we have to start copying from this area, because this is our first card. And now let's just start duplicating that. So this is our card 1, and now I'm gonna duplicate it to card 2. Then we have our card 3. All right, so now let's just change our stuff inside that. So this our card image 1. This is going to be our card image 2, and this is going to be our card image 3. And by the way, you can also change these text if you want to, but I'm not going to. So if you save that, and we will see this card right here, but they aren't styled that much well, so we have to write a little bit of coding for that. So we have to just first of all get this comment from here, and I'm going to put it right here and put at the end and the end. So I'm going to just zoom in a bit first of all. And now let's just start working on our product section. So I'm going to just select that product, oh my goodness, products section right here, and margin of top will be just 5 frames. Now let's just select our title 3 in this case, because we provide this specifically, title 3 right here. All right, so now let's just style that. So font size will be just 4 rem, and margin to the left will be 10 rem, and margin to the top will be also 10 rem, and margin to the bottom we should have used that shorthand, but anyways it will do the work. So if you save that, and this is going to be it for our product section right here. So now what else do we have to do? Now let's just start working on our card section, a plural card section, not a singular. So we are going to be selecting our card section, and the display will be now set to totally flex. Flex ramp will be now set to ramp. Flex direction will be set to row in this case, not column, and justify content will be space around. And final property I'm going to use for align items of center, and if you save that, so here you can see we are now getting our cards right here, but they aren't styled well. So now let's just style that a bit. So what do we have to do? We are going to be selecting our card in this case, not cards, but just a singular card right here. Alright, so now I'm gonna provide a border of like 2 pixel solid and that kind of a main color. And if you save that, yep, that's cool. I guess that's cool. I'm gonna remove that. I'm gonna change it to some, let me just write like DEAB. Okay, so that's the same color. I'm gonna just change that to our main color right there. Anyways, so we can just provide a padding of 0 for the top and bottom and 20 pixel for the left and right. Height will be totally 400 pixel. The width will be just a 300 pixel, and display will be totally flex. Justify content will be column, not justify content. Flex direction will be column in this case. And now let's just use our justify content of space around. And now let's just use our align items of center, and border radius will be now set to 5 pixel, and position we are going to be applying for it, so like relative positioning. And then let's just use our margin bottom of 4 rem. So now if you save that, and this is how currently things looks like, but now let's just style our card title and card info or paragraphs, whatever you want to call that. So now we are totally done with our card section. So now let's just use our card image. First of all, we have to specify image for our card. So to do that, we are going to be writing a width of 100 pixel and height will be also 100 pixel. Let's just use a position of absolute on it, and the top value will be like 60 pixel in this case. And now let's just start working on our different kind of images. But before we do, first of all, let me just show you how it will look like. So I'm going to just write a border of 2 pixels solid and that var of main color. So if you save that, and this is how it will looks like by default. So we can style that manually if you want to. So you know what, I'm going to remove that. And now let's just start working on our different kind of images. So for this first card, we provide a class of img1, like image1. This is going to be our image2, and I guess that would be it. Okay, so now let's just select our image1. So I'm going to just write like img and 1. Now let's just use a background color of URL in here. So I'm going to just put a URL, go to the images section, like images folder, and select our first image. So what else do we have to do? We have to use a background positioning of center. And now let's just use a background size of totally cover. So if you save that, and here you can see we have our first kind of image right here. So now let's just duplicate this code 2 times. So this first and this is the second one. So we have our image 2, select our image 2, and this is going to be fine. So then we have our image 3, and now let's just select our image 3. And now if you save that, so we have all of these images right here. Okay, so now let's just style these titles and stuff. So first of all, we are going to be using a card dash title, so which is that card title right here, this one. So we are now going to be styling this one. So what do we have to do for that? We are going to be using a color of totally white, and now let's just use a font family of sans serif in this case, and the margin top I'm gonna give it like 50 pixel. And now if you save that, and boom, and this is how everything looks like. And you can just change these names if you want to. And now what else do we have to do? We have to also style these paragraphs real quick. So we can just select our card and then items inside that card, and now let's just select our paragraph items. Yep, correct. So now let's just change the color to be totally white. Margin for the top and bottom we have is a 20 pixel. For the left and right we have a 0 pixel. Font family will be totally sans serif, and if you save that, and this is how our card section looks like. Okay, so if you just make our screen size a bit smaller, it will just push it to a new line, and this is how everything looks like for now. I know it's not responsive. We are going to make that responsive just in a second, but for now everything looks cool. Alright, so here we have to just write our products section in, or I'm gonna just put an N in there. Okay, so now let's just start working on our footer area, and that's going to be it for this project. Alright, so outside from this section, we are going to be using, first of all, I'm gonna just write a products N, and now let's just use our footer start and footer end. So we are going to be using HR for horizontal line. And now let's just use our footer, and inside this footer we are going to be writing our container. Inside this container we are going to be using our heading info first of all. So we are going to be writing our about right here, and then for that new color we are going to be using a span of us. Okay, so if you save that, so this is how it will looks like. And underneath this h1 we are going to be writing a paragraph with a lot of lorem ipsum inside there, and I guess that would be fine. And now underneath this div, what else do you have to do? Underneath this div you have to, I'm going to duplicate that a few times. Why not? Or can't I? You know what, let's just see. I'm going to duplicate these 2 times. So 1 2. So we have container and heading info. Now let's just change the title to be like something else, maybe contact in this case. So contact us, about us, and opening hours would be fine. So opening and then hours. Okay, so we are now totally done with this container section. Then outside from this div, what else do you have to do? We are going to be writing HR one more time, HR with a class of HR2. And finally, let's just write a credit section. So I'm going to just write a paragraph with a class of para, or credit. Wouldn't it be fine if you just write a class of credit? You know what, I'm going to go with a para class. So I'm going to just write like a copy, right, and then add symbol 2023 in this case of Hussein web dev. Okay, so you can write your own name if you want to, because this project is now totally yours. What will I do with this friend project? So provided by span of Hussein web dev. So if you save our file, and this is how it looks like right now. I'm going to jump into my style sheet right now, and now let's just style it a bit. So first of all, we are going to be styling our footer area. I'm going to give a height of like 500, not 500, but 50 VH, and display will be totally flex, and flex wrap will be set to wrap. Align items will be now set to totally center. Justify content will be now set to totally center. Color will be totally set to white, and font family I'm gonna set that to like sans serif in this case. So if you save that, and boom, everything is now magically in here. So now let's just take care of that alignment. So we are going to be selecting our footer, and then let's just select our container inside that footer. We are going to be providing a margin of 20 pixel. The max width I'm going to provide is like 300 pixel, and also the text alignment will be set to center. So if you save that, and this is how currently things looks like right now. Alright, so it's looking awful, I know that. But what else can we do? We can just improve that heading info class which we provided. So we are going to be selecting this footer, and then heading, and then info. So let's just select this header and then heading info real quick, and let's just provide a margin of bottom of 20 pixel. In this case, just 1x would be fine. And finally, let's just select our footer and paragraph, and we are going to be using a line height of 25 pixel in this case. And also select our span which we provide for a new color, which is this color right here. So we are going to be giving a class of, not a class, but a color of that main color. And finally, I'm going to save this file. So this is how currently things looks like. And I know this is a lot of text, so we have to just delete a few of them. So I want to select this portion and hit Control D, and bye-bye, and save that. And this is how things looks like. I know it's a lot. You know what, I'm gonna select that placent, and let's just remove that and save it. Yep, that's cool. Anyways, so let's just take care of that horizontal line which we provide right here. So we have HR here, and then we have that HR2 right here. So now let's just take care of that real quick. So we are going to be using HR, and let's just write a margin bottom for it like 20 pixel. And border color I'm going to provide is that totally main color which we just provided, and then width will be 500 pixel, and I'm going to give a margin of 0 auto, so it will be now totally at the center. Okay, so what's wrong? Oh my god, something went wrong. So it's now taking this area. You know what, I'm going to style that a bit just in a second. So let's just select that para, which is that para class, and now let's just take care of that real quick. I'm going to select the para class. The color, I'm going to just write a color, will be totally white. And the font family, I'm going to set that to like sans serif. Text align will be now set to center. And margin at the top, I'm going to just give them like 20 pixel. And now if you save that, yeah, this is looking cool, but I don't know what's happening to that. HRs. We have HR1 and then we have HR2, but I don't know what's happening to that HRs. It's looking awful. Or what if I just remove these HRs? You know what? If I remove that, that would be cool. So we have a width of 500 pixel in there. We are not wrapping our text inside there, do we? You know, I'm gonna remove this HR, and I'm gonna also remove this HR from there. And yep, that's looking cool. If you want to provide a line, so you can, but I guess this UI is looking cool. But now we are totally done with our project. But here's the thing, it's not responsive. So for that, we have provided a little bit of media queries in here. So you can see this text is huge. This section is not looking better. And now let's just take care of that by using media queries. So I'm gonna just write project n, and now let's just write like responsiveness. Okay, I guess I misspelled it, but you know what, who cares? You get the idea. So we are going to be using a media for only screen and also for the max width of 768 pixels. So inside there, what do we have to do? We have to first of all get our main heading. Is that a main heading or main headings? I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to check it out. So I'm gonna just go with a main heading. Let's just see. Man headings. Okay, so it's plural. So we have to provide that S in there. And you know what? I'm gonna also select that primary headings as well. Is that a head? Yeah, that was a heading. I'm totally sure it's a heading, not headings. Alright, so now let's just use a font size of 2.5 rem and save that. And boom, this is how it looks like right now. Alright, so now let's just take care of this section area. So for that, we have to select it by using or story. And now let's just use a text align of center and also take care of their title real quick. So I'm going to just select or story and then title of transform translated to the x-axis of 50 pixel. So now I'm going to save that for now, and this is how it looks like right now. And you know what, this line is not looking better, so I'm going to remove this line real quick. I'm gonna write like or story and then let's select or line and write a display for that like none. So save it, and yeah, this is looking a bit better than the previous version. Anyway, so now let's just take care of that content section which we have right here. So now let's just take care of that. I'm gonna just select my content section right here, and text alignment, I'm gonna just set everything to be centered. So if you save that, it's looking horrible. Now let's just select our image section. So for that, we are going to be first of all, you know what, first of all, let's just select our story, select our image container, and now let's just select our image inside there, and I'm going to provide a width to be like 70%, and I'm going to also provide a text alignment which will be now set to center, margin will be set to 0 in auto. And now let's just take care of that image container. So I'm going to select the coffee container and write an image container right here, and I'm going to put a margin of top of 5 frames, and the width will be 50%. And now if you save that, okay, so it's looking better, but I don't know what's happening to this one. You know what, you can play around with that if you want to, but in my case I'm going to just make it so that we don't have any scroll bars and stuff. We can change this title. What is even the class of this? Perfect place. Perfect place. So we have title 2, and if we select like I don't know, is that a title 2 of border 10 pixels solid red, and if we save that, yep, that's it. Use a margin of 0 auto on it. Alright, so it's not perfectly at the center, it's looking better right now. Or story, and now let's just select that real quick. That class is title, so we are going to be using a title of margin 0 auto in this case as well. So yep, everything is better looking right now, and you can just tweak around it if you want to, but in my case this is looking better. Now let's just take care of okay, so this is looking bad. Now let's just select our product section. So we have title 3 for that, so we are going to be copying this one, and let's just select that title 3 like so. I'm gonna copy there real quick, and I'm gonna paste this margin 0 auto in there, so it's looking better. Okay, so it's still looking awful. So you know what, I'm gonna provide a margin for like maybe 20 pixel. So save that. Okay, so it's not working. You know, I'm gonna just write like a border of 10 pixel solid red right here. So if you save that, so it will now do selected. So I'm gonna just use like a margin of 0 auto, and now if you save that, it's not working. I don't know why. You know what, instead of doing all of that, I'm gonna just use like a display of none. So if you save that, yep, that's looking better. And we can also provide spacing and stuff if you want to, but I guess everything is looking better right now. If we just make it a little bit more smaller, and now let's just check him out. Make it smaller. So we do have that scroll bar right here. So now let's just take care of that para real quick. So what do we have to do? I'm going to select my para, and I'm going to provide a margin of a top of like 10 rem. So if you save that, it'll now push it to the bottom. We don't want that. We don't want this, to save it. You know, I'm going to also remove this para class as well, so the display will be none. So if you save that, and yeah, that's looking better for now. I don't know why we are getting this scroll bar from, but we are not wholly done with this section. I'm going to make it bigger, and yeah, congratulations, we now successfully built our first project.